Hey ladies, welcome back to another episode of the Balancing Hormones Naturally podcast. I have someone that I think you're going to geek out a lot about. So we have Jill Rowe, who is the founder and co-owner of Rowe Casa Organics. And I want to say that I got everyone addicted to like Rowe Casa Organics with the tart cherry juice and the deep sleep salve, because that's the first thing I tried. And my toddler was waking up like 7 times a night. And then he went from 7 to 3. And then in a week, he's been sleeping through the night. And so I was like, everybody needs this in their life, cause he was almost 2 at that point. So like, never having slept a solid night of sleep for 2 years, you get tired. So welcome. And thank you so much for hopping on. I would just love for you to share a little bit about yourself if you're open to that.
Hey. Well, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me, and thank you for partnering with us. So like you said, I accidentally founded a business. I was a speech therapist for 15 years and just had a concern about, I worked with children. So not just my children, but the children I worked with just seemed to be so unhealthy. So I started digging in a little bit about why that might be and discovered a few things on my health journey that helped my family a lot, and shared it with my community, and it grew from there very quickly. So
Yeah.
that's pretty much in essence who I am and kind of how this started.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the best businesses are the ones that start out of a passion. So it's so
I
good.
agree. I agree.
So is that what got you interested in non-toxic living across the board, was working with these kiddos, or like, was it just there's nothing out there for us to buy? It's, you get a headache looking at all the labels at the store. And a lot of times I used to just walk out because after looking at 10 products and not finding something that worked, I was like, well, this is pointless. I might as well buy nothing.
Right. Oh, yes. So it was, really to look back on it, I see that God was writing this beautiful story, by the people that he was putting on my path, by just my own health experiences and maybe the Western medical world getting it wrong so many times for me. It was eye opening. It forced me to get out of my comfort zone and look further beyond what I was taught was just, I thought was routine. Pill for
Mm-hmm.
every ill, doctor visit for everything, antibiotic and whatever. Like I grew up that way. And I, even as a young child, would watch my mom organizing all of her medications. And I thought, what happens if she can't get those medications? Does my mom die? Like I was, even as a
Yeah.
young child, my mind was already working in that direction. I didn't know what that direction was, but God had a plan. And then through a series of my own ailments of just constant, sickness and infections, I had really bad sinus infections, watching my children always be sick. It just hit me one day. I was like, there's got to be a better way. This cannot be what life is. Every few weeks, somebody being sick, having to take off work, doctor's visit, like it just got really old really fast. And I was like, there's got to be a better way. And if there is, I'm going to find it, because I'm not going to live my whole life like this. So that combined with God putting people in my life, like my sister who helps me run things, in my path, who was maybe had more access to more naturopathic type individuals, in bigger cities, they would teach me, and it would come back to me, and she would say, Jill, you should get rid of that false fragrance in your house. That might help. Or she may say, just have you considered this? Have you used essential oils? Well, here, let me, and I slowly began to realize there was another way. People around me were finding it and sharing that with me, thankfully. And it just piqued my interest. And then once I dove in just a little bit, I saw my family's life be changed. And I was so excited about it. And I posted everything on Facebook. And so I did. And that's how it grew.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
you just were like, there's not enough products out there. It's so, it's so hard to find. There's a lot
Yes.
of greenwashing, and I know we talk
Absolutely.
about that a lot.
Yes, I get very upset and passionate when I feel deceived. And so when I would go and look at labels on the shelf, I knew enough even in the beginning to know that something's not right. Like if you're adding all this sugar to make me take this supplement, then it's probably not good for me, lots of artificial and harmful preservatives. I just was kind of overwhelmed by how much we had been deceived, and really quickly realized I had to do something about it for at least my family. At the very minimum,
Yeah.
I wanted to see my family thrive, and that's kind of how it all began, for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like everybody that listens probably knows about Rowe Casa Organics at this point, but, tell us how many products you guys have now. I know you started with elderberry juice,
That's right.
for, immune support, but I mean, you guys have so many products now.
We do. We do. We have, I think it's around 250 products and a whole huge list of things on the way. So in the beginning, it started with elderberry syrup, and that was so life changing. I was like, what else can I make? And this was like, what can I do for my hair? What can I do for my skin? Like, I just
Mm-hmm.
realized how I could simplify so many of our products and it still be so effective. I was just really, truly amazed by what the
Yeah.
plant could do for us without all that other stuff that we've just
Yeah.
been adding for all these years. I just couldn't understand why it had become so complicated. Um, so it's been a lot of fun. I was like, if I'm going to make it for my family, I might as well offer it to the public. They like my elderberry, so I might as well
Yeah.
offer them my hair spritz. It's just kind of how that went. And I had a bunch of crunchy people around me at this time, and we were all sharing recipes. And so when I would find something that worked really well, I would get equally as excited about it and begin to tell people about that too. So and that's just how this has gone.
Yeah. I think too, the one thing that you hit the nail on the head that I think is really important is so many times clients that I have, because endocrine disruptors are a huge, huge, huge issue with your hormones, is they're like, but I just don't want to let go of that product because it works. And non-toxic products don't work. And I 100% sympathize with them, because
Absolutely.
I went through so many non-toxic products, like deodorant, for example,
Yes.
and you either get a rash or it just didn't work. And I was like, well, I don't want to stink. So
Oh,
like,
right.
then you're tempted to use the stuff that's going to, cause issues with your health. And so when I think it was a friend of a friend was like, oh, I found this cool company, Rowe Casa Organics, and they have great ingredients. And I was, in my mind, I'm like, oh, great, another non-toxic company that like doesn't work.
Exactly. I know the feeling.
Yes. So I just dipped my toe in. I was like, well, that really made my toddler sleep. And like, there was nothing bad in that. And I think the next thing I tried was body butter. And I was like, my legs are so moisturized. They look amazing. I mean, they look so smooth. I'm like, what next can I try? And so yeah, you guys really, you nailed that beautiful fine line of non-toxic products that actually work. And you
Yes.
cover a host of things. I mean, from laundry detergent to body care, to immune support. I mean, I'm not even sure what my husband calls them, potions, tinctures, like
Uh-huh.
whatever. But when he gets sick, he's like, I'm ready for like the
Give me
deluge.
all the friends.
Yeah. So to backtrack a little bit, I don't know how open you are about sharing a little bit about your breast cancer journey, and again, how important non-toxic came to you because of that, I'm sure.
Yes. I'll share anything you want me to. You want me to just share the story of
Yeah, I would love to hear it.
process how it happened? So, as I said, Rowe Casa blew up very quickly. So I was kind of growing with Rowe Casa. I wasn't like 10 years ahead of the game. I was entering in, and then boom, as I was telling people about what I was changing, people wanted to change. The business grew, it became a thing. And I was like, kind of learning as
Yeah.
luckily, not luckily, but I was blessed to have plenty of people around me who were further along in their health journey guiding me. So I'm super grateful for that. But a couple of years into Rowe Casa blooming, I was really good because I was learning to switch my products out. I had gotten rid of phosphorus. I was really good at switching my products, which is
Mhm.
a huge part of health.
Yeah.
But I still had a lot to learn. And I was pregnant in 2020 and super excited about that. And about 6 to 7 months in, randomly overnight, a very large tumor developed in my breast. And I thought it was probably just, pregnancy related, but I did go have it checked out and came back. I did have breast cancer.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, I'm running a health company and have breast cancer and I have a baby on the way. This is a lot in the middle of a pandemic. Awesome. So, 2020 was a long year, but I really pressed into the Lord, to be honest, and He reassured me in many ways that He had me, first off, that He wasn't going to drop me, that He had me on this mission, and there was something that was going to come from this that I needed. And I knew that if I could just hang on to Him and get through that diagnosis, that there was a beautiful harvest on the other side, because I was leading so many people and He had put me on this platform to be able to do that. There were some things I needed to learn beyond just switching our products. So at Rowe Casa, we sell products, but our hearts are really big into educating the people who follow us. I'm very passionate about teaching people about whole body health because of what I went through. Thankfully, I was diagnosed with DCIS, which is extremely early stage breast cancer. Surgery, I did choose to do surgery. I opted out of implants, being that I lead a non-toxic health company, knowing how toxic implants can be. I was thankful that I found a center in New Orleans that could use my abdominal tissue to rebuild my breast. So that's what we chose to do. Because I think once you have cancer, you probably should not just play around with it.
Yeah.
But so I got rid of it. I did not need chemo or radiation. I believe, had I not started my health journey when I did, that diagnosis could have been so much worse. Two of the biggest things that I learned when, of course, you hear the breast cancer diagnosis, I went in and to just medical doctors, the first two things they check for are, is it hormone fed? They're going to check estrogen, progesterone, And I'm like, well, that's interesting that no one ever taught me to balance my hormones, but the first thing y'all do when I get breast cancer is check to see if hormones are related. So that was the first light that went off. Second light was they check inflammatory markers. Okay, but why hasn't anyone ever talked to me about inflammation? Because bingo, inflammation now that I know, is at the root of most all disease. And so it was really eye-opening to me that we're really good at diagnosing, but we're not very good at preventing and teaching people how to be well. And so, again, the breast cancer journey was part of my story, I think, for God to teach me some things that were going to make me a more effective leader moving on. If He was going to grow this business and bring these people to us, I needed to be well equipped to lead them well. And that was what I believe that journey was for. And he brought me through it. He took care of me during that time. It was very stressful and very disheartening and scary. Anytime you hear the word cancer and you have a baby on the way and 3 other kids to take care of, it's scary. But He was faithful, and I think I'm able to reach more people now because of the story He, gave me. And so I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah. I mean, it always comes full circle. Like, when I started back with my health journey, like I would have, when I was in it, I'm like, well, I wouldn't wish this on anybody, but that story got me to where I am now, that journey. And now I can help hundreds and hundreds of women, which it's like, there's a point and there's a mission to that, even though in the middle of it, you're like banging your head against a wall.
Oh, you're like, are you serious right now? Yes. It was very traumatic for sure.
So I would love to take people a little bit behind the scenes of, how truly non-toxic but awesome your products are. Because like I said, there's a lot of greenwashing out there. There's so much. And I think it's hard to weed through. And I'm looking at a product, and I know you talk about this a lot, but when I'm looking at a product, I look at the company and I look at the sourcing, because I like the amount of things you can get away with marketing. Like when
Oh,
you step into the marketing standpoint, it's really kind of scary. Like, I mean, for example, only certain percentages of products have to contain the actual ingredient for them to put it on a label. They can put fillers in for something else and not put it on the label.
right.
So when people are like, hey, what do you think about this product? I'm like, I don't know, because I don't know that company. And I want to
Right.
see how ethical the company is, and, you know, how transparent they are. So you guys are extremely transparent. Plus, like, your ingredients are so, like, there's so little of them that you can, you know, read them
Right.
on one page,
We're
which
just
is
navigate.
nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. I feel that
Um,
way. I remember the confusion. I know how that feels.
Yeah, and I think it can be overwhelming, you know, stepping into the health space when you're like, oh, so and so said this was like good. I got it at Whole Foods. That's a health food store. It should
Right.
be good, right? And it often, I know, makes people want to just quit before they start. But um
Yeah.
how hard is it to like source your products? Can we talk, like, you know, a little bit behind, like, you know, where you source products, for example, how important that is to the quality of it?
Yes, so being as picky as we are, it definitely poses issues. There are times where I'm developing a product and I will just, and it's not just me, it's my team now, but we will just an ingredient out because we can't source it in a clean enough, to our standards. Our standards, like, I like all of the certifications, the organic and the whatever
Yeah.
certification, but they still, there's some loopholes that I'm kind of
Hmm.
like, I'm going to take it a little higher. Like I like that you're organic, but where is it coming from? And how is it
Hmm.
processed? We ask all the questions. The suppliers probably get tired of our phone calls from our sourcing team, but we are just so picky, and we're constantly doing audits to ensure that we haven't missed anything, or if we need to tweak something, or it's ongoing. And we are so picky because, I mean, we're all using these products on our families. It's not
Yeah.
just selling them. We are doing this for ourselves, and so
Hmm.
um it's a lot. It's a lot, but it
Yeah.
can be done. You just have to be diligent.
Yeah. Do you ever have issues with like products having to go out of stock and stuff because you just can't, the sourcing gets too
You'll
complicated?
see you'll see products here and there that will go out, and it's usually a sourcing issue to where we just aren't pleased with one of the ingredients, or just something has changed and we're trying to figure out why. We don't want to just, I don't know, we're just picky.
Yeah.
We have
Which
to
is good. Yeah.
yes.
It's nice because, like, when you know the owners are picky, um, I just feel like I don't have to have a headache like looking that much, you know,
Yes.
at
Yes.
it as well.
That's why we have so many products. Honestly, I know as a mom how confusing that world is, because I was in that world trying to navigate that and looking at label like, I just want to give up.
Hmm.
Forget it. It's too hard. I thought, man, wouldn't it be nice to just have one place you could go that you trust, that is quality, and just get everything you need there. Like, it would just,
Yeah.
I feel like that's what we're trying to become. I don't know that we'll always have all the things, but I mean, I'm trying to knock out as many as I can because I know people trust us now, and
Hmm.
it just makes it easier. It makes it easier for, instead of getting, two here and two here and two here and trying to remember your
Yeah.
whatever. It's just nice to be. It's just, it can get really complicated.
Yeah. And plus, I think, you know, just talking from like a consumer standpoint, it's annoying when you have to buy two things
Yeah.
here, two things there, and you have to pay for shipping. Like, someone asked me one time about shipping, how much it was, and I was like, I don't know. They're like, how do you not know how much shipping is? I was like, because I always order enough to get free shipping.
That's right.
I never get
That,
to that point.
that's right. That is clutch with the glass too.
Yeah. So that's my next question. I'd love to talk about glass. Cause I know I see a lot of people be like, oh, like it's so heavy or it breaks. And I know you're very adamant about using glass for, your product. So why is that?
Yes. Well, first off, we use a lot of essential oils. So we know that essential oils will break down the plastic, even your better plastics. There are better plastics out there as far as toxicity, but it will still break down. And I don't want that left over in the product. If I can minimize that, that's my goal. And so because if I'm offering you a non-toxic product, but it comes in plastic, which is breaking down into your product, that I've kind of defeated the purpose.
Yeah.
Not just that, but knowing environmentally, the plastic use is just way out of hand around here. So I feel like in knowing how biodegradable glass is over time and how much better it is for the environment, I try to incorporate as much glass as I can in our in our packaging. So that's our whole thing, and especially as you get bigger, it really weighs on you. Because so much is going out, I want to make sure I do my part environmentally too. So
Yeah, there's a lot of products going out. Is there, so you touched on the essential oils, and I feel like essential oils are such a hot button topic with so many people because there's like a million brands out there, and it's not really policed at all. So could you just share a little bit about what you require in your essential oils? And I just give everyone the first thing to rule out essential oil companies is if their lemon oil is the same price as their frankincense oil, you automatically know, don't even need to look deeper.
Yeah, you're dead. Yeah. Man, now this is kind of a new discovery for us. We were big into essential oils, used a couple of companies that we trusted that did well. But the more I got into it, the more concern I had for the way quality was going, for the morals of the companies that I was using. I became just more and more concerned. And so we flew actually to Utah to meet with some individuals who had been involved with several different companies who were kind of just teaching us about the ins and outs of essential oils. And I was really blown away by how much I didn't know and how much I needed to learn. I didn't know that companies typically, there's a best, better, and good. So good, better, best level of clean essential. So they may test out in a lab as clean and pure, but they aren't very therapeutic. And so I was like, wow. So I didn't know that.
That's terrifying.
I said, how do I get my hands on the best ones? That's what I need to know because that's what I prefer to use. Obviously, it's much more expensive, but I never did this for money. I did this because I wanted to be healthy, and I want everyone else to be healthy with me. So we make it work. And so I was just like, tell me how to get my hands on the best. Okay, we're going to just make our own because no company is going to tell you, are they using the good, better, or best? And I'm pretty sure most are probably going to be using the good. The good are going to be pretty good. I mean, they're clean. They're going to test out no harmful anything in it, which is great. It's not bad. It's good, but I wanted best. Good, better, best. Okay, so I didn't even know that was a thing, but getting involved in the essential oil world, I realized, wow, okay, there's no other way to go but to do this thing myself. I didn't need an essential oil line. I had 200 products, I was like, am I really going to do this? But I didn't see a way around it. We all sat around, those of us who flew to Utah, and we could not find a way around because we weren't going to be able to get oils that we knew that 1,000% that it was the best, cleanest. Our oils are grown therapeutically. Our oils are grown indigenously. In those regions where they grow best, which means their therapeutic value is the highest you can find. Which if I'm going to buy a product, I would prefer that to be used in my product, right? So it's not that the good ones who maybe grow in America, I get concerned because this is the only time I don't love the organic label is because that's an American standard. So that means your essential oil plant was grown in America, which a lot of times that's not their indigenous region. And so plants thrive and they'll become more therapeutic when they grow in their indigenous regions. I had all of that to learn. So that's why I love our essential oils is because it brings me comfort in knowing, peace of mind, knowing that, they've been growing for at least 100 years in their indigenous regions. We test them out in a lab that we do not own. Some of these larger essential oil companies own the lab, so they can kind of fudge and play with the results to make it, happy. And then So I like where we are headed with our essential oil line. I didn't necessarily want to have an essential oil line because there's, like you said, it's on every corner. But for us to be able to know what we were putting in our products, what we were putting in, on our bodies, I wanted the best. So I was
Hmm.
like, okay, let's do this.
Yeah, you just kind of landed there. Do you think then that's kind of your secret? I don't want you to give away your formulations, obviously, but like so many non-toxic products don't work. Like
It's true.
my gold standard of like, wow, I really like these products is I've hit bottom so many
Yeah.
times and I
Right.
reorder. Like I was on Instagram and I was like, guys, that's the bottom of my body butter jar and my Tiger Salve. And I have a replacement already because I didn't want to run out. And I'm sure a lot of people relate to this. You maybe get halfway through and you're like, yeah, it was good. But it wasn't
Yeah.
like, I'm going to try and find something else. But I'm like, I have no desire to find something else because it works that well. Like what's the secret? Obviously don't tell me your formulation though.
I can't speak. I don't know what other companies do. I think there's a couple of secrets. We have a team who has been many years into their health journey now that can play into how we develop what works, what doesn't. I
Mm-hmm.
see every company out there who has a deodorant putting baking soda and I know because of experience the awful, terrible rash that comes from that in your
Yeah.
armpit. It's awful. But because it works, it keeps the stink away. But I was like,
Mm-hmm.
nobody wants that kind of a rash in their armpit. So we have to
Yeah.
do something. I think it's all of our experiences coming together. It's not just me developing these products. The fact that we're super picky, I know how picky I am. I don't know how picky other companies are, but because so many non-toxic products don't work, it makes me think that maybe we're pickier,
Yeah.
because I am like, it's got to come straight from the plant. Like,
Yeah.
I want the raw stuff. I want it as close to coming straight out of the plant as I can get it to put it in my product. And
Yeah.
so we're just picky. I think that's our secret sauce is that we haven't ever given up our standards for financial gain. I think there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of that going on from what I can tell. It's just
Yeah.
if we're going to put just enough in it to make you think, oh, shea butter, yay. But if you only put 2 drops of shea butter, you're not getting any of the benefits.
Mm-hmm.
But if your product is shea butter, you're getting all the benefits. So I don't know if that's the difference. I am sure if I had to guess, our cogs as far as what it costs us to make our products is probably double what it costs other companies because
Mm-hmm.
that's how we are. We didn't do this for money. We are picky. Our standards are super high. Like I just
Mm-hmm.
don't ever want to be called out. I want it to be clean. Like I want it to be quality clean. I want my family to get quality and clean. So
Yeah.
that plays
Cause
a role.
you're using it yourself. And I
That's right.
think that's really important. And from someone who has tried a lot of different products, the price point is so good for like non-toxic products. I truly am not just saying that. Like so many non-toxic products they're very overpriced because people
Right.
say, "Oh, as soon as you put non-toxic on it, like you can upcharge for that, honey." So,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, that's
It's
not right. Yeah.
yeah. Do you have, I don't know, this might be kind of hard, but do you have a favorite product?
My favorite product. That's always hard, but I always have to go with the elderberry syrup
Yeah.
because it was the first thing we created. And I hate to even say it because everybody has elderberry syrup now,
Mm-hmm.
but it truly, making my own the way in this recipe, somehow it just had it was just special. And it changed my family's life. It's why Rowe Casa exists because I realized just by my family taking that one supplement,
Yeah.
we just quit getting sick. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm on to something. That one thing being so
Mm-hmm.
life changing is why I was like, well, what happens if I change all these other things, and explore, the relief. And I was like, wow, I really found interest then in plants and healing my body with things, that God created. So
Yeah.
I have to pick that one every time, but it's really hard because there's so
Yeah.
many.
I love that one. My son takes that one. He's 3. He takes that every single night. And I think it's like his fun little ritual, and he is very much a routine child because he got put to bed. I think it was last week, and he didn't get his elderberry juice because I don't know. We were rushing, and he just looks at like my husband with these tears in his eyes. He goes, "Oh, I didn't have my elderberry juice." So of course we had to go get it because otherwise no sleep would be had.
I'm sure you're the exact same way. She's not going to forget anything.
Oh yeah, I mean, we use
Everything.
all of them. Literally all of those products. And it's just, I have people that are like, well, I take elderberry juice. And I'm like, I don't know, maybe you should just try this one.
Yes, for some reason I can't explain it. I do believe ours is just different. It has the results. It's our number one top seller. Has been for years.
Really? Yeah.
Number one out of 250 products. It's number one. It never. I don't. Maybe 1 month might have moved down, and maybe Tart Cherry took over for that month. I think
Yeah.
That went kind of crazy, but yeah, elderberry is it. It is it. So I don't know. It just seems to be very effective.
It is. It really is. And I am with you. I really can't pick. Someone's like, what are your top picks? And I'm like, okay. And I sit there and I'm like writing my list for them. And I was like, there's a lot of products on here. So I was like,
yes.
I guess just choose from these top 40.
Right?
And they're like, Leah, that's not helpful. And I'm like, I'm sorry.
I know. It's really hard. It is.
So I guess bouncing off of that, like if someone was never tried Rowe Casa, what would you say they need to start with? Like one product they need to start with, because once you try it, I feel like you're sold. So that's end of story.
True. I kind of made a list in thinking about that. And obviously we have a top 5 that I usually just kind of hand over and like, hey, start here. It's always a good place. Any company that has as many products as we do and we have a consistent top 5, that's always going to be a win to start there. So obviously the elderberry.
Yeah.
You have autoimmune disease. Sometimes there's about 10 to 15% of people with autoimmune disease that aren't going to respond to elderberry the same as everyone else because your immune system operates differently. So we have the antioxidant infusion that we created for that reason for those individuals. So one of those is I would start there. Just start pumping your body with some good stuff. The Tart Cherry, I don't know many people who don't want help with their sleep. Of course, Tart Cherry has so many other health benefits. That's what I love about plants is that you can market it for sleep, but you're going to see your gout get better and your muscle recovery get better and your digestion get better. I mean, there's just like, it's endless. So that's why I get so excited about these products. So Tart Cherry would be another one that I would recommend. The hair spritz, because we're all post-COVID, and I don't think anybody feels great about their hair anymore. That's just the truth. So it's like everybody lost half their head of hair after COVID. So I always say hair spritz, and it's usually top 3 or 4 up there. So the hair spritz is just great for hair regrowth, and it gives my hair body. So I love that. The magnesium products that we have, my favorite's the magnesium cream, just because the other ones sting me. They can sting if you're deficient. And so the cream kind of helps with that. But some people love the convenience of the spray. We also have a gel, because magnesium's just a whole thing. Our body uses magnesium.
We just had a bulb flick out.
Uh-oh.
It's fine.
Said no to magnesium.
Guess according to the bulb.
That's right. We have the magnesium products just because like I said, magnesium can be used for so many different functions in the body that the benefits to magnesium being added topically are endless. And then the lymphatic cream, that was one
I knew that was going to make it.
That's one I'm super shocked by. It has a really cool story behind it. Yeah. I wasn't even going to make that product for the public. I was making it privately for a lady here in my community because she kept begging me for something for her lymphatic issues. And I didn't really even understand the lymphatic system back when I started making it. But with enough studying, I learned and whipped it up for her for probably a year and a half before I even offered it to the public, just so she would quit asking me. Like, here's you some lymphatic cream. I don't even know what it's going to do for you, but try this. And it worked miracles on her lymphedema. And so at one point we asked, why aren't we offering this to the public? It's super effective for her. Lymphatic issues are a whole thing. I was like, it's true. Let's do that. And so we did, and it's consistently in the top 5. I think people use it for so many things.
Oh, so I can give you a list. So when I started using Rowe Casa, I got introduced to Rowe Casa. I was pregnant with Killian, and he's 4 months now. So I didn't start with the lymphatic cream because I was like, I'm not going to jump in with that. I started with deep sleep salve, and I started with body butter and tiger salve and all that kind of stuff. And so I loved it. So then I started, talking about it, and my sister-in-law is like, oh my gosh, that lymphatic cream's awesome. And I'm like, what do you use it for? She goes, I like slather my face in it because it helps so much with my sinus issues and my allergies. And I'm like, interesting. And then I started, like, my clients started using Rowe Casa, and someone had asked my top products. So I was listing my top products, and she was like, capital letters, like, I cannot believe you didn't put lymphatic cream on there, Leah. Everybody needs to start with lymphatic cream. And I was like, really? Yeah.
So true.
So it's so good.
Yeah.
Like,
I threw it out to the public and was like, here's lymphatic cream, great for your, lymphoma, things, swelling, things like that. Well, people started posting pictures of their before and after of their faces. That's how it really blew up. Their abdominal areas would just it's crazy how much swelling we all carry around that you probably don't even know. And so when people started posting that, it was all she wrote. Of course, then it was like everybody wanted some lymphatic cream because, who don't want to lose some of this around the neck?
Yes.
And, we're always a little swelling around our abdomen. So, as women, it was like, woohoo. So it's the top. Sure.
That's 100% pure vanity. The reason why I started using it, because my friend was like, I put it on my legs and my abdominal area. And I was like, postpartum, we have all that fluid retention. I was like, I'm starting with that. And I really, really do like it. So I don't know how much of this question you can answer without like spilling the secrets. I want to know the secrets, but where do you see Rowe Casa going in the future?
Oh, I asked my sister about that. I was like, how would you answer that? And, kind of at a loss because every year we say, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe, we are growing into some new spaces. We're really heavy on Facebook. We're heavy in Instagram, but Pinterest is taking off. Our TikTok's taking off. YouTube. We plan to do a lot of our educating on YouTube. So that's a new space that we're growing into. We've always had the goal of one day being in one of your bigger, stores like Whole Foods or something. But God continues to bless us. We're in a lot of little small town, we're in some really interesting places all over the nation, and He continues to bless the smaller hometown stores that are popping up everywhere carrying Rowe Casa. So I don't know, it's hard to really even say because the direction we think we want to go in, sometimes it's a lot different than where God's taking us. So we just kind of follow His lead. So that's kind of where we're at on that.
Yeah.
It's usually as much of a surprise to us as it is to the rest of you because we're just kind of following along.
Yeah. Plus, I'm sure like it depends on where people want to, like what people are asking for, and like where those products need to go.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do think we're beginning to round out a lot of our product lines. You'll see this year, we have the next 2 years planned out, which is that feels so good to us because we've always just been kind of month by month because it happens so fast. So we were like, we're like feeling so planned out. But I think a lot of our lines are getting rounded out. Obviously the makeup world and the vitamin world is on our radar, but that's just a whole undertaking. So we're just prayerfully, those are things that I think get requested a lot that it would just have to be a God thing if we did it. But a lot of our lines are being rounded out, like our cleaning line, our body care line. We've got some really fun things up our sleeve coming this year and next.
I'm so ready.
So it's going to be fun. I can't say it anymore, but yeah.
I know. I'm like over here, like chomping at the bit. My sister-in-law, like, I haven't told her that I was interviewing yet because like she's pregnant and she'll probably like have a cow. But whenever like something comes up, like, and you do a live video, she's like, Leah, did you see what's going on? I'm like,
Oh, right.
yes.
That's so cute.
So we're very excited, for everything Rowe Casa. Even if I'm like, oh, I may not need that new product launch, I always have to order it because I find some weird use for it that like maybe it wasn't intended, but it works great for.
Yes, that's what I love about it. It's like you might think it's for this, and then you'll see all these other issues start to subside. You're like, wow, okay, that's just plants for you.
They're so amazing. So what we're going to put the link in the show notes. You guys, I'm sure you already know this, but if you use the code Leah, just my name, you can get 20% off your first order. And for everybody that's always asking all the time, like just get on the texting list after you place your order because you guys do some great like 10-15% off sales after that. So I always stock up on sales and it's worth it. And we'll put your handle down below so everybody can follow you. But thank you so much for coming on.
Yes, thank you for having me.